We are live. I'm super excited about what is about to happen here today. I want to welcome you all to our humble podcast. I'm your host, GT. I got with me my amazing co-host. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Christina.
Nice. And we're super excited about what's going to happen here today. So just to give you guys a little background, our humble podcast really exists to tell some what I think are cool stories. I have some really talented friends, and I want to give them an opportunity to share their gifts and their story with the world. So our guest, so fitting that he is a first guest, is none other than my brother, the pastor, fellow Humble Kings member, T. Barlow.
Thank you, man. Listen, I appreciate being here. Guys, to the wind beneath my wings. Looking forward to having a good time for this next hour.
Nice. How you doing, man?
Man, I can't complain, man. Same fight, different day. God is good, man. A lot of exciting things are happening right now, and you guys all know, with the fact that I've just been accepted into the pastorate at our church, at St. Matthew Baptist Church, and so I got a lot of stuff on my plate between being a husband and a father and a pastor and a student, and then a Christian artist, and I would say probably in that order and so forth. So a lot of responsibilities, but I'm thankful to God that I'm able to have the opportunity to sit here with you all for the next hour or so.
Yes, sir. Amen. I have a really important question, and I should have asked this before the other question.
That's cool. Let's hit it.
Marvel or DC?
That's not fair. See, the reason I'm not so dogmatic to where you got to be like you got to pick one or the other. There's good things about both.
Yeah.
There are good things about both. Like, for example, up until I'm gonna say recently, Marvel has really been killing it in like the movie, so to speak. DC has been killing it in the movies, but you have to really know DC to understand that the DC is actually killing it. I think that like some people are kind of just like, oh, these movies are trash, and I'm like, no, they're not. DC has very compelling stories and characters, whereas Marvel, I think they do well with just a variety of different complex characters and so forth. Actually, that's not fair. I think they both do that. It's like it's weird. There's stuff to love about both.
For sure.
And so I don't really like it. It's not like Bloods or Crips. It's like it ain't like you got to pick one or the other. What I'm saying? It's like I enjoy them both.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so much happier than most people. Yeah, because I know how to balance it.
You don't have to take a side.
Right.
Simple life.
Yeah, indeed. I'm all about peace, man. Like, how can we make this all fit? It's
right
here. The fact is, they exist. Let's enjoy it. Yeah.
For sure. I wanted to make sure I asked that question because in our conversation yesterday.
Yeah, I know why you did that. and you probably thought that I was going to be thrown for a loop, but no, you got to be quick on the dime, man. That's how we do it at my humble podcast.
I thought it would be a good icebreaker question for the audience, and to actually, that kind of dives into a little bit of who you are as a person, right?
Yeah, man. You can argue that definitely because let's face it, comic books kind of had a little bit of a profound impact in my childhood, right? And so, like coming up, my father turned me on to comic books, and I would read these things. Yeah, and I didn't. It's kind of hard. It's weird, man, because I had friends, but I didn't really have friends. I had friends that I would see at school, and I had friends that I would see at church, but I actually spent a lot of my childhood at home alone. I was a latchkey child. I woke up, my parents was already gone. My father was a truck driver. My mom she worked wherever, I think First National Bank. I think she worked in the Whitman Tower back in the day when we first moved here from Chicago back in the 90s, right? So I would wake up, they would be gone, and I would get myself dressed. I would leave, and I would go to school. This is in the 4th grade, by the way. Leave, I would go to school. I would come home, let myself into the house. My mom is not there yet. My father's still out on the road, whatever. And I have to kind of fend for myself. And so the way that I would entertain myself was through video games, comic books, toys. That's how I would entertain myself. And so it's that's the childhood portion in a nutshell. And so
comic books and latchkey.
Comic books, latchkey kid, video games, music, like the radio. Back in those days here in Omaha, we didn't have a black radio station. Sweet 98 was it. 98.5 was where you would hear your R&B if you were looking for it. Legit. That was the only place that you can go to hear it back then. So I would get doses of In Vogue and maybe some TLC or whatever and some Whitney Houston or whatever, right? But then I would also get exposed to like some Red Hot Chili Peppers and who else? Mr. Big. I don't even know if y'all know who Mr. Big is. Somebody out there.
Is he the one that was part of that It Wasn't Me song?
No.
What?
That wasn't Mr. Big?
No. Oh my goodness, no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be on TV.
Hey, that's okay.
Nah, Mr. Big. Honestly, I don't even know if Mr. Big was one person or if they were a group, because when you watch the video, it's a bunch of long-haired white men and acoustic guitars and stuff like this. And the name of the song was called "To Be With You." Let me be the one to be with you.
Nope.
Yeah. See, you know, I was saying, like, I was exposed to music like that, and I as much as I hated it, I actually gained an appreciation for listening to all different types of music, and a lot of that kind of plays into today, to like who I am today. Yeah.
Spotify playlists.
Yeah. Well, I don't really be on Spotify like that. It's Apple Music over here. Yeah. Nothing against Spotify, but I just don't want to pay that when I got Apple. So, but like my Apple playlist is crazy because it has some of everything on it. I've learned to appreciate. I just learned to appreciate differences. That's why, like, when you ask a question like Marvel or DC, it's like, no, why not both? You know, that's the world that I live in. Yeah. You know, and so I learned to like find something dope about everything. And it actually spills over into how I look at people. Like, even like some of the most annoying people on earth, there's something dope about them. You just gotta watch and just kind of just give them time, like fill them out and so forth. And that helps because it allows me to work with like anybody at any given moment. Now, granted, they may be annoying, and yes, there may be other people that I'd rather work with. But like, if I'm put in a situation to where I had to work with them, I've learned how to adapt to actually work with them so we can get the job done. And I think, like I said, a lot of this spills over with the fact that I spent so much time alone. You know what I mean?
You just want to be around people.
Yeah, indeed. While at the same time, like even like as an adult, I actually find some comfort in being by myself at times. Okay. So it's like I could be comfortable. Like, and I think a lot of men are like this. Period. You know, like where like if you have a family, and you know have a woman, you got kids in the house, you don't necessarily have to be doing anything with this woman and kids. You just want them in the house because there's like a comfort factor knowing that they're there, right? But like if everybody left, it's like, bet it's cool, it's whatever. I'm chilling. I'm in the house by myself. But like I get a comfort in knowing, like in hearing my kids like in the other room, or hearing my wife yell at them, whatever the case may be. Like I'm just in this room, it's like family, so forth, right? Yeah. But like at the same time, there are times where like for my birthday, people always ask, well, what are you doing for your birthday? Like, I just kind of want y'all to leave me alone. Because, every Tuesday night is like my alone night. I go to a movie, a $5 movie, on Tuesdays.
Every Tuesday?
I didn't go last Tuesday.
Okay.
But that's kind of been like my practice lately. It's like, if there's something planned, if there's something that I want to see, and these past few weeks, movies have kind of been dropping. So it's like I would go by myself. Like after my family is all cool, calm, collect, y'all in the bed, cool. I catch the latest show and go be by myself. Why? Because I learned how to spend some alone time, which I think is very valuable. But at the same time, I love being around people. And I kind of cherish it because of the simple fact that like I spent a lot of time alone, and that really wasn't, as a kid, it was like, oh man, this is boring. I got to do something, which is why I used to have imaginary friends. No, but get this though. My imaginary friends were my kids who came from the future to come and have adventures with me. I had about 5 of them.
So did you name your kids today?
No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, to this day, I can't recall what I named my kids. But they would come back in time. They would play with me. It'd be me, them, and the Ninja Turtles, and we'd go off and have a blast. Like that's exactly how I can't remember any of the adventures, so-called adventures we would have, but that was me. Which brings me to a point to where like for me, one of my greatest dreams was having a family, right? So being married, having children, and so I always tell people now, like I'm at a place, God forbid that it happens, but like if I was to die, just know that I'd be dying a man who feels accomplished. Feeling accomplished isn't about like having an unlimited amount of money in a bank account or having a bunch of things or even being able to travel the world. All that stuff is fantastic. I'm not knocking that. I'm not knocking anybody who has those for goals. What I'm saying is that I've often found riches in the relationships that I have, and the people that are in my life. And I think I can attribute a lot of that to the fact that both of my parents, although they worked hard and, it seemed like they were going quite a bit, during that particular season or whatever, they were actually very present parents. And I learned a lot from watching them. About having relationships, about my father, who was a deacon, or who was a deacon at first, who basically grew into the position of being a preacher, and then grew into the position of being a pastor. He showed me, he modeled what it looks like to be a servant leader, so forth. So it's like there's a lot of good things that I picked up from like my parents that allows me to look at relationships and place their appropriate value on these relationships.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so love is a big thing for me from them. Yeah.
I feel like you answered the question that I had with that, but if you have anything to add, just kind of curious. You say you feel accomplished now. If you feel like you've accomplished something significant, how do you like continue to have something to aspire for?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. I mean, because like for example, if I accomplished having a family, right? Well, now I got to accomplish successfully raising these children.
Right.
I gotta accomplish teaching them how to be loving. I gotta teach them how to be forgiving, how to be graceful. I gotta teach them, how to direct your farts at your sibling correctly. You know what I'm saying? And which farts to trust. Like there's a
farts to trust.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's there's at this point now the accomplishment is going to come in seeing them become successful. And you find yourself doing things that as a kid, sometimes you always be like, I never do this to my kids. Well, no, if you love them, you're going to do it. You're going to be a little strict, just a little bit, not overly strict, but enough to say like, yo, dummy, I'm trying to save your life. Like don't do that. You can't, that's not how this works and so forth. Even like, or that's just the kids. Like even for my wife, to be accomplished, something for me to push forward is making sure that she feels safe, cared for, provided, poured into, loved, cherished, valued, like all of those things. Like those are my next accomplishments. And what's dope about all of this, that's a day-by-day thing. I can accomplish it for today, but I still have to accomplish it again tomorrow. So I always have something to aspire to. There's always like and again, some folks may be like, well, okay, well, love don't pay the bills. Yeah, that's true, right? I still have like career goals or things of that nature that I can still accomplish. But the fact of the matter is, if I know that I lived each day working towards those goals and achieving them on a day-by-day basis, yeah, I can die a happy man. I can die feeling accomplished. God forbid that happens right now. I'm just saying, if that were to happen, you can know that I'm resting in peace for real, and so forth.
Okay.
I don't know how my family gonna do without me, but I'm just saying, they might miss me a little bit. But, a little bit. Yeah.
Like a lot.
Yeah,
definitely. We'll miss you too.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We talking like I know I'm dying or something. So let's stop. Let's switch paces on our humble podcast.
And you're older than us, so we could expect.
What? Dang! Is that what we're doing on our humble podcast?
Quickly.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Anyway. Anyway, one of the things, I talk about like what my parents have taught me, if we get into like the artist aspect of this now, right? Like I remember, cause my parents are the perfect parents for me, but they weren't perfect parents.
For sure.
And I remember I did the one thing that that I tell you that I kind of like don't like, which is like writing a copy change rap, right? I wish I could remember what song it was, who sang it. It was off the radio. Because one thing I can say about Sweet 98 is later at night, like around 9 o'clock, they would play like the top 5 at 9, and people can call in and request stuff. And at that point, that's where you can hear songs like Snoop Dogg's What's My Name or whatever hot rap song was out. As long as if there was a radio play version, you would hear it like at 9 o'clock. But there was a group that had a particular song. I wish I could remember what song it was. I don't. But I remember sitting there writing a copy change Christian rap song to this song. And my mom got home from work, and I was like, hey, Mom, check this out. Look what I did, man. I wrote this rap. She said, don't be writing no raps for church. We don't do that.
Interesting.
And I didn't write a rap for years.
Yeah.
After that, right? And as a matter of fact, I actually grew to hate writing. Because, and it wasn't because of my mom, by the way. It wasn't just because of that. Like, teachers back in that day, if you got in trouble in school, you would have to write 150 times, I will behave, or I will not stand on top of the desk. Too. Yeah, stuff like that, right? The straw that broke the camel's back was when my dad, I remember when X came out, with Denzel Washington, Malcolm X, playing Malcolm X. That movie came out. Now, back then, there was a movie theater off of Dodge Street called Indian Hills. And my daddy took me to go see Malcolm X on Thanksgiving night. right? And sat there, we watched that. We watched Malcolm X go to jail and him meet this Islamic mentor friend. I forget what this guy's name is, but he gives this man a dictionary, and he says to this man, "I want you to copy every word out of the dictionary." Right? So Malcolm X sits there and he copies every word out of the dictionary. Well, the next time I get in trouble, my daddy had this bright idea to take this unabridged dictionary that I got for Christmas once. And was like, yeah, you want to be acting up at school? I want you to write every word out of the dictionary. Dang. Man, I never made it past aardvark, man. Like legit. Like I couldn't. Like I just sat there looking at. I'm supposed to write all of this. Like nah. And I hated writing.
Yeah.
Like I hated like between how the teachers treated it, how my father had just treated it, and then also like even like with my mom, like I don't think she meant to be discouraging. You got to understand that like I think that like there's a certain frame of thinking from certain generations about certain things, and I can respect that on some level. I probably got it right now. Like when I look at some of these like younger artists, I'm like, nah, that's trash. Yeah. Why y'all listening to this? Right? And I be having to evaluate myself. Like is their music really trash or am I old? Like which one is it? Right. So between all of that, like it's like I didn't care to write like anything. But one of the things I could say, and again, I think this comes from my father. Like we would be on the road, like he was a truck driver, right? So we would be on the road and we'd see these signs of these weird named towns, or we see billboards or whatever, and there will be a way that he will like read the words, and you realize how funny these names and how these words sound. And so he was like, like for example, that's a spot, I think it's in Idaho, I forget where. It's called Yuba Gap. Yubagap. Yuba Gap. He was like, Yuba Gap between your teeth. Like all of that, so it's like we,
that's that wordplay.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean? So I'm hearing all of that, and then somehow along the lines, I began to understand that poetry allows you a freedom in writing. See, for me, I think what I hated about writing is that there was such a strict structure that was forced upon me, which. Yeah. By the way, having said all of that, writing structures and all the rules and stuff that go along with it, all that stuff is beautiful to me now. As a kid, all of that was undesirable. But with poetry, it was like, I could write anything I want to write. And I could say whatever I want to say. Because it's my poetry. Can't nobody tell me anything about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so I started writing poems and stuff. And as I came into like my adult years, I used to work it's called Alorica now, but it used to be West Telemarketing. So I worked at West Telemarketing, and I would sit there with like little notebooks, and in between calls or even during calls, I'm just jotting stuff down, and I would write something like this my freestyle bread breaking, big turd head making, heart filled soul shaking, give a dog a bone, like a knick-knack patty whacking, large jello booty smacking, finger licking, chicken snacking, leave a child alone. Right? That was a poem that I wrote.
Right.
And then I came across a friend from high school, and he had this rolling motif, whatnot, and he was making beats, and he was like, man, like I'm hearing some of the stuff that you're saying and doing, we just started fooling around with like beats and some of the stuff that we writing, and so that particular poem right there, which I got it on a CD if you want to hear it. It's in the car. Yeah,
you have it right now.
I don't have it right now. Actually, in the car, I might have it in the car. I think I got my CD case in the car. Yeah. If not, I'm gonna have to show you some other time. But that particular poem I just showed you, like I had this beat that I made to it. It was like a jungle beat, and so and again, it's just me fooling around, and it was like, this my freestyle bread making, big turd head making, heart filled soul shaking, give a dog a bone like a knick-knack patty whacking, large jello booty smacking, finger licking, chicken snacking, leave the child alone when I'm on the microphone. My style, you got your own. I just started just rapping, like just building off of it, and it was fun. Like, it was so fun. I was like, this is crazy, and at the time I was doing like a lot of bootleg recording at home and all this other stuff. And eventually I ended up going to like Most Smooth studio. I got plugged into him, and I would go and I would record these songs. And when I listen back to these songs now, it's crazy because like there's a partial cringe.
Right.
To it.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can relate, man. Go back and listen to my first song.
Yeah, there's a partial cringe, but then when I listen to some of the stuff, it's like some of the concepts I think that I implement now, I actually understood back then, like in terms of like flow and wordplay and going and connecting the dots and painting a picture and telling a story and all this other stuff. And that's like, it's not bad. It's just flirting with corny. It's what it is. Like I would never like release it, you know, and I was real creative. I chose to do it for a couple of reasons. One, I was actually starting to fall out of love with what I was hearing on the radio. That's when like the 1-2 snap movement was coming in. There was like a lot of dance songs, and it's like I'm not a listen.
Hey, what's happening?
I'm gonna tell you this right now.
Jit.
B4L, like I was so upset. I was like, how is this a hit? You know,
It's
like
so catchy.
like you say catchy, I say annoying. Like with me, when I hear music that I can't stand, I physically get thirsty. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like my mouth dries out. Like it's like I don't know how to explain it. Like I am affected physically. And I think what made me mad is because when I was listening to like that particular beat, and like I was listening to some of the beats that I was making. I'm not saying that I was like Timbaland or Swiss or anything like that. I'm just saying like I felt like I put a lot more thought and care into how I was crafting the beats. And then I hear this blink, 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 blink.
Even you doing that right now, I feel like it's just kind of like hard not to move.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it started.
Y'all are so easy to be Pied Pipered. It's ridiculous. No.
I feel like it's just grown though. Like I mean, look at where we're at now. Like TikTok dances, like dancing just.
Don't even get me started on it. That's a
okay.
whole philosophy behind that. But I mean, like and then like the lyrics was just like, oh, this is just, I don't know, like it bothered me. I wasn't there. Like, and I guess really for me, I was the type of person where like I wanted the music to not just entertain me, but also feed my intellect.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of like pushed me to like, man, I want to make my own music because like I love music. I want to listen to music. I want to hear this,
Great.
you know, and so forth. And so I started writing, like, you know, just crafting a lot of songs. And my first like album or what have you, or like project was called Lunch Money. Right. The reason why I called it Lunch Money, because it was like, yo, I'm gonna eat off of this one day. Like that was my mentality.
Nice.
You know what I mean? And that the inspiration behind that though came from like one of my favorite groups growing up, which is the Lost Boys. See, the Lost Boys had an album called Legal Drug Money, right? Which, you can take that in a couple of ways. It's like, wow, are they talking about the pharmaceutical? No, like, no. What they were talking about is the fact is that music is the safest and most used drug in the world. So as they're peddling this music, they're making legal drug money, you know, and so forth. And so so my whole Lunch Money concept was kind of inspired by that, you know, and
I thought you were gonna say it came from 50 Cent, that clickety clank, the money falls into my piggy bank.
Yeah,
I just found that song last week.
Yeah. 50 around that era was a monster. He was something different, man.
So when you started writing, was that around that time or like?
Yeah. So we're talking like really like when I started writing poetry, we can say like 98, 99. When I started writing raps, we can say like 2002, 2003.
Okay.
Because this is around the time where Bree was kind of coming up, and what was dope about Bree was like listening and watching, like she was there for all of this, like in her earliest years. So like, you know, you think about like how like if you ever heard beats, I think I showed you sometimes beats that Bree have made. You understand, like
She's a beast.
Yeah,
Man.
I absolutely hate that she doesn't want to like pursue it.
Really?
Right. You know, but I love that she doesn't want to pursue it because she doesn't want the fun of it to die. Like she's having a blast doing what it is that she do. And it was so weird. And back in the day, this was a different time. I'm not promoting this. Back in the day, we used to smoke weed, and then we'd get my daughter, we just put her on the keyboard, and she knew how to find the beats, put beats, and she would just get on there and start doing stuff, and we'll be listening for stuff that makes sense. And there's been a couple of times where she had done things that make sense, where I'll be like, okay, I'll move her out the way, and I try to mimic it. Wouldn't have made a beat off of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that was that era. That was that time.
Like she just naturally had it.
Yeah. She got. I bought her a drum set when she turned 4, I think. and she would get on the drums and she was doing this beat. And I remember my boy Greg, he was just sitting there like she was doing this beat, and all of a sudden he started going chain, making money over here, because that was the beat she was doing, was that Missy Elliott beat. He was like chain, making money over here. And she was just holding it down like in a pocket, like she just had it, man. That's awesome. And so that was good time. Like this is like the early stages of me like writing, and then around about 2007, 2008. I saw this man speak. He came to Omaha. His name is G. Craig Lewis. G. Craig Lewis has this campaign. It's like a cash cow now, but back in the day when he first came out with it, it was like really like deep and profound stuff. It was the truth behind hip hop. And so he started talking about how hip hop is so demonic, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. His message was so compelling to where, I mean, he talked about everything. He even talked about like how like he was like dreads are demonic, right? I had dreads at the time, and the night that I heard him speak,
you cut him off.
I went right home, had cut him off like right away. Threw out all my CDs.
That's crazy.
And wrote off hip hop like it was nothing. Like 2000, it's like 2008. Stopped writing, and then but this is a hindsight being 2020 type thing.
Real quick. We got to wrap this one up. For those watching, this is a 2-part interview. So we're going to wrap up this interview for the first section, and then we'll come back. We'll get into the rest of that story and kind of get into what you're doing these days. We talked a lot about...
Indeed. This is actually a great part to break, too, so I like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, Our Humble Podcast. It's been a great first episode. Thanks again, T, for being here and helping us with getting started, man.
Hey, listen, thanks for having me. I love this, man. Appreciate this.
Awesome. Do you want to say bye? Bye.
Bye.